ridiculous, right?
Now down below us, about 16 to 18 feet down, you're going to see one of the very first springs that feeds into this entire system. There's a huge hole in the ground that pushes out about 100 to 200 gallons of water per minute. Huge amount of water. Now it doesn't really look like much. You can sort of see the rock and gravel getting pushed around. A little bit of the sand moving down there. But you'll notice that there's a strip of land right there where there's no plants growing. The water's moving so fast that the plants can't take root in that area.
Good job, man. Really good. You're doing very well. That's pretty good.
A lot of people have taken these tours before say that they're not seeing as many fish as they used to. And the thing is, these fish are all still here. What's going on is that all the fish are hiding in these grasses. There are a huge amount of fish here that can be seen very easily by both predators and prey. So they'll hide in the grasses until the dusk or dawn hours, whenever they can be, partially hidden by light. This is an office building called the Texas River Center. It houses Edwards Aquifer Authority, Texas Park and Wildlife, river systems, and certain places like that. We're actually going to be seeing quite a few instruments that are put there by Edwards Aquifer Authority here in just a little bit. But it was actually built in 1929 as a hotel. It's actually one of the nicest hotels here in Central Texas. To give you an idea, we got that green wall right there behind us with the stairs. We got this little outcropping right here. This was the swimming area of the old hotel when it was first built.
What's the temperature of the water?
About 72 degrees year-round, which is really interesting because Barton Springs up in Austin and Comal Springs down in New Braunfels, about half an hour drive between each one of those two places. Each one of those come up around 68. We have a 4-degree temperature change right here in the middle. We really don't have any idea what causes that. We haven't nailed it down quite yet, but the idea is that the spring entrances and exits in this area are closer together than the other areas, and so that allows the water to cool down more in those places. We test that in regions right here. This is a different kind of spring called a low output spring, pushes out about 5 to 10 gallons of water per minute. Not a huge amount of water, but there's hundreds and hundreds of these cracks all through the entire lake that produce a significant source. Now, while it looks like something's digging underneath the surface, what it is a very slow flowing. Think about maybe you're a sink at home in your kitchen. Now, that orange marker is attached to a PVC pipe-looking deal that's a dye tracer. And that allows them to trace how far and how long the water travels. And that's a process that can take anywhere between just a couple of days up to about 12 years.
Pretty cool, huh? Look at that fish. Look at that fish.
Now we're coming up to another one of our springs. This one's going to be about 22 to 24 feet down. Oh, well, it's very high output springs, but it's got a little bit of history behind it. Very famous Olympic diver, very accomplished actor named Johnny Weissmuller. He was one of the first guys to ever play Tarzan in the old films, way back when. Got on one of our boats in the 60s, dove down into the spring and drank water straight as it was coming out of the ground. Couldn't how clear the water was. But this is also an interesting area because you can just see how far down that plant is blooming. That's about 18 feet if that's about 22 to 24. There's a huge variety of fish here, lots of basses, lots of sunfish, but one of the most interesting ones to me are these guys right here below me. If you're familiar with aquarium fish, then the name cichlids should be familiar. Oscars, African cichlids, South American cichlids, things like that. Huge family of fish, thousands and thousands of very distinct species that you can get at a pet's PetSmart, fish shops, anywhere basically. But what's really interesting about them is that they all either come from Africa or South America, except for these guys. These are called Rio Grande or Texas cichlids. And they're the only native North American cichlid species. A lot of people think that these are gross and that they're sick, but they're actually very aggressive fish. And so those are scars, battle scars.
Oh gosh.
So one just laying there. How deep is this, you said?
That was about 22 to 24 feet. Now, starting from about this tree right here to just past the dead one that's up in front of us, we should be seeing a lot of turtles in this area. One thing that's really neat about turtles, you can always tell which ones are males and females by looking at their size. Female turtles are always bigger because they carry around 7 or 8 eggs inside their shells up onto land where they bury them well, they dig holes and they'll bury their eggs. That's how they lay their eggs. A lot of times people will see a big female turtle in the water being followed by a small male turtle and they'll think, oh, it's a mom and her baby. We're actually a couple steps ahead of ourselves at that point. What's that right over there? Is that a beaver?
An otter.
That is a nutria.
Yeah.
Think about a beaver and then slap a big rat tail on it. That's basically what we're looking at. They're the third largest rodent in the world, brought to Louisiana to supplement a fur trade because their fur is not only pretty water resistant, but it's really soft. It kind of feels like mink. But some natural disaster, flood, hurricane, something happened, and they pretty much populate all the southern United States river systems. It's become such a nuisance that in Louisiana there's actually a bounty on them. And I've actually told somebody this already, but I've heard that they're delicious. All right, other folks. Right that way. All Boy Scouts loaded up on one side, all the adults got on the other. They got the gangsta lean on the road. One thing you're going to notice is that the turtles, if we're going to pass over one, I don't know if we will, but they have a lot of algae growing on their backs. That allows them to hide in these algae blooms over here to the side and get the amount of sunlight that they need while staying in cover. Oh, there's a little baby one there, right there. Oh, yeah. Oh, little guy. We do have predators here that will eat turtles. Red-shouldered hawks, raccoons, things that will gladly eat them. It's actually pretty neat because all that's left is just the shell.
And the raccoons dive in the water?
No, but they'll wait for them to be around here, or they'll catch them on land whenever they're trying to lay their eggs.
Times whenever they're vulnerable, pretty much.
Now what we're going to be coming up to is the highest concentration of those low output springs. A lot of people call them low pressure springs, but that's kind of a misnomer. It requires an incredible amount of pressure to be able to put through the tiny cracks and the weight of the water that's sitting on top of the ground right now. During times of drought, we start losing that water pressure out because there's not enough water inside the aquifer. And so these will go into a state of dormancy. 2009, during the summer, the place right here with the orange marker right below us was the only place that we could see those springs because of the drought.
How are we doing now with the aquifer?
Pretty good. To give you an idea, that time it was pushing up.
Look, turtles in the sand.
Maybe about 90 cubic feet of water per second. This year it's pushing us at about 210. Notice how the fish just sort of sit and hover over the springs. There's about 40 different kinds of organisms that live inside the aquifer, and they're really neat because they've been isolated in an area where there's no light. For years,